kindergarten, which we started last year, and we saw a big difference, a big change in the children, especially for the children going to elementary school. Okay? So the program is called Read, Write, Inc. Okay, it is from Oxford. And we searched a lot during many, many months for a program that is as similar as possible to Montessori. Okay, so the Read and Write Inc. With phonics, just like in Montessori, we use the letter sounds and not the letter names. Okay, one of the things that we saw that it isolates the difficulty, so it's step by step. When we teach a letter, it's a new letter, but we go over the ones that they studied before. The writing does come before reading. It uses oral exercises. I will present to you guys Fred in a second, but so the children learn how to break down the sounds of the words. Okay. As I said, we review the previous concepts when we present a new one. And the spelling does have the control of error. I will explain all of these steps in the next slides. So, I don't think I'll be able to reach. Let me come over here. So the first step that we do is teaching the letter sounds. We noticed and this happens in all the international schools that I've studied at, that I've worked at, is that the children, they don't have the vocabulary yet to be able to write, to be able to know what they're reading. So when we introduce the letter sounds, each letter sound has a little rhyme and new vocabulary for that letter. So we first start teaching the sounds, but on the back, it has a little picture. So this is but this one right here, when they write the letter, it's Maisie, mountain, mountain. So they go Maisie, mountain, mountain. You probably hear your children saying those. And this helps them build vocabulary because now they know mountain. Then for each of the letters, there's a different rhyme. After we teach many of the letters, another important thing. It's not only each individual letter. If you see over there, the CH, the ch, is also considered a sound, and we call them special friends. And that helps them later on to be able to read much easier because they know that as a sound. Okay? All right, Fred. This is Fred the Frog. And with Fred the Frog, we can do many games that introduce writing and also reading, okay? So we start off just by playing games at circle time saying, hey, this child is going to stand up and go change their shoes to go to recess. So we say, Emma. Okay, so I, Emma. Okay, or T-I-A-G-O. And we say that Fred is special, and he does not know how to pronounce the words properly. So he talks like this, breaking down the sounds. So we practice this with the children. The children say it back to us, and they use any word that they know also to do Fred talk. So another thing that Fred does, Another thing that Fred does is the Fred fingers. When they are starting to write, if they want to write the word cat, for example, we use Fred fingers to see how many sounds we hear in cat. So it's k, a, t. We hear 3 sounds. So when they write the word cat, they are expected to have 3 sounds, okay? And this also and for example, the word ship. The sh is 1 sound. Remember I talked about the special friends. So the sh is 1 sound. Sh, I, p. So it's 3 sounds that they're going to put down, okay? In pretty much all of the schools that I worked at, in kindergarten we use the Danielian font, okay, the Danielian handwriting. We noticed that children were reversing the letters a lot, letters and numbers. So we decided to change it to Danelian. The letters are slanted, and Danelian is considered like a precursive, okay? Because the letters are slanted, there is a little tail, the monkey tails on each letter, which later on, when they are in elementary, when they start learning cursive, the transition is much easier, because you just have to join the letters, okay? All right, step 2, writing. Remember I talked about Fred talk and Fred fingers? Well, we have these big letters right here, but we also have them in small letters. Just like in Montessori that we use the movable alphabet, we can use this also as the movable alphabet. So we do both of them in class, which are, well, it's the same thing as this one, but in small cards. So they can put it on their table and write words using Fred fingers, okay? And being able to check their work. So as I explained here, for example, shop, the sh is one sound, the o is another one, and the p is, so in shop it would be 3 sounds, okay? All right, then comes reading. After we see that the children can already write words, breaking down the sounds, we go on to the reading. We start off with green words, okay? And these green words right here, I don't know if everyone can see, but on one side it's the word sit, and on the other side it's also the word sit, but the dots at the bottom represent the Fred fingers. So they know that sit is it, 3 sounds, okay? So these are just a few. There are so many words, and they get harder and harder, okay? After we introduce the green words, they can start reading their first books, which are 1 word per page in the book. There are 10 books of these, okay? And if you see, for example, here's the word sit. They sound it out. And on the other side, it's the same word, sit, but with a picture. So they can also build vocabulary, okay? And with this, after they start reading these books, we can do lots of work for writing also with these pictures that they already will know the vocabulary. I cut the pictures out and they can write the words, okay? After they do this, we start off with the red words. The red words are also sight words, okay? Sight words are words that you need to be able to pretty much memorize the words. Because if we sound out the, it would be t-h-e, or the, if they already know the phonograms. So these words right here, they have the same process, for example, the, but on the other side, the th is, but the e, we don't pronounce e, we pronounce the, okay? So they start reading these red words, so they can later on go to the books. These books are very interesting because there are 3 books for each level, okay? So for example, the red books we are going to have in the classroom, a set of red books. That same book they are going to be able to take home in black and white. And for that book, there is going to be a writing work, okay? A book that they will start learning what's a sentence, what's a period, that they need to put spaces in between the words, a capital letter in the beginning, and it gets harder and harder. And we also have these ditty sheets right here that are, they're worksheets. There's 28 of them that they do in school, but they're able to take them home. So the parents can also see what they're doing in school. I find that many, especially in kindergarten, the parents sometimes come to me and say, what did my child do in school? Because they get home and they say, I didn't do anything. For them, the work that they do in school is already natural. So for them, that's nothing different. When you ask them, what did you do in school? They're expecting like, today we had a special class of planting or something like that. The normal work that they do in the classroom for them is, that's what I do. I didn't do anything different. So this is a way also for us to show parents what they're doing in the classroom, okay? After that, we have the green ditty books, which are these green books. The level is a little bit harder, and it's the same process. There are 3 books. one book that stays in the classroom for them to read. First they read to me, then I read to them to show them the intonation of the sentences. Then they read to a classmate. They read to their friends read it back to them, and then they are able to take the book home to read to the parents. And they have the workbook also, which they would do in elementary, okay? All right, this is something that we were planning to do before COVID, but then everything changed with COVID. Everything is very different. The children that are just the children that are going to go to elementary, so the children that are in kindergarten, the ones that are in 3rd grade that are going to elementary, in the second semester, we are going to start just with those children with a book, a Montessori book for language in Spanish, so they can learn the differences in the sounds. For example, that jirafa is with a J and not with a G. And we are going to be using this book in the second semester just for the children that are going to elementary, okay, as a follow-up work, okay? And now I'm going to give the microphone to Peter. Thank you very much.
Gracias.
You can ask your questions at the end, okay?
You know my name, you might know where I'm from, but you have no idea where I've come from. Your kids think I travel from Canada to Aguascalientes every day. Not true, okay? So I'm old. I've been in Mexico for 28 years. I've been in this industry for 28 years. I started in Mexico City. I worked for the Pan American University in its elementary, secondary school. I worked there for a total of, 18 years. I developed their academic program for kinder, elementary, and secondary. I then became the director of the entire school, 1,300 students, 36 coordinators full-time, and 36 full-time teachers and 6 coordinators. I was then asked to be the Director General of the Northridge School, which opened up in 2010 in Santa Fe. I rejected it because I had a business on the side as well, so it would have been sort of like a conflict of interest. In Aguascalientes, I've worked at la Universidad Bonatera. I was the coordinator of languages and international affairs there for 5 years. I also had a business here 20 years ago called Canada Connection. I sent students to Canada from Aguascalientes and all over Mexico. I signed an agreement with Tec de Monterrey. They also send students for me all over the country. So my experience, I've taught kids the 28 years I've been here. I've also taught adults. I'm a certified Cambridge oral examiner, a TOEFL instructor, ICANN instructor, and TOEIC instructor. So I kind of do a little bit of everything. My passion is to teach kids though. I love kids. That's my first job in Mexico in the Pan American Elementary School was teaching kids in 1st grade. I don't know, I just love it. I have nothing else really to say about that. Your kids are wonderful. I'm now, of course, at the German International School in Aguascalientes. I love it here. I love it here the most, I think, because out of all the 28 years that I've been working in schools, I find this project is the most sincere and has a real genuine concern of the education of the children. Montessori, this is my 3rd year in this school. I'm also a guide of Montessori, although I'm currently a co-guide. I absolutely believe in the system 100%. Probably the most because the students are the ones that are working and not the teacher. Right? Here, it's not teacher-based, it's student-based. It's all student-focused. It's not about the teacher, right? That's why the teachers are called guides. We guide the students. We're not doing the things for the students. The students have to produce themselves, which is why when it comes learning a language, right, including Spanish, because the little ones are still learning Spanish, and English, and German, it's all communicative approach. They have to practice, practice, practice. It's not about taking out the book and learning the verb to be like in every single traditional school. Here, no. Here they're living the language. And that's what Montessori is about. It's about living the actual education itself. They have to experience. It's about the curiosity of the child. And that's what I love it the most. The first slide. Okay, so here, I have designed...
You want me to switch, okay?
Oh, sure. I have designed the curriculum for the school.
Did you switch it or was it me?
That was you, but that's fine.
Yeah?
You can do that.
Okay, because I didn't press anything.
Designing the curriculum for the school is complicated because it's not, if it were a traditional system, I can say, okay, we're going to use these books and this method, but here I can't change the method, it has to be Montessori. Can't use books because that's not Montessori, right? Like I can't say, here's a workbook, here's students, we can't do it that way. But at the same time, the advantage is because it's an open system in the sense that the students have to communicate and it's not like a structured system in the sense they have to sit down and write. It's very simple to learn a language this way. So the program is L1. What does L1 mean? The program is focused for native speakers. All the vocabulary, all the grammar and everything is focused for students of English as a first language. Okay? Not as a second language. Right? So other schools are like bilingual schools. This is more like an immersion, English immersion school. And the same thing with Jenny for German immersion, but she'll explain that later. So the program is, it's an L1 program, L1 materials, which means all the materials we use is for native speakers. The teachers that teach the program are international teachers. Not only international teachers, they are also certified by Cambridge. And then you combine this, you have L1 learners. You will notice students, sometimes your kids will come home, they'll say, the same thing as Annabelle, I didn't do anything today. No? And you'll be like, for parents, if you don't have physical evidence of a notebook, then the kids are not working. If the kids are not sitting down and bored in class and copying from the board, they're not working, they're not learning. And that's not true. Absolutely not true. On the contrary, these students, you'll notice that your kids, sometimes will watch something in English and they'll turn around and say, I don't understand anything. No, I don't understand. And you'll ask them a question and then they'll answer it to you, even in English sometimes. And you're like, you don't understand? And how'd you know this? No? They get the language naturally.
Or Peter, an example. Sometimes you can, a parent once said so do you understand what the teacher says? And the student answered, well, I don't understand the words that she's saying, but I understand what she's trying to tell me. So that's what we...
Absolutely, absolutely true. The students, your children, are becoming bilingual, but really bilingual every single day. Of course, the dilemma, which I'll mention later, it's like, it's very subjective. That's what we say. Maybe you have a different point of view or vice versa. But later I'll explain that further. So here, it's the Montessori method using Cambridge assessment materials. All the materials we're using are certified by Cambridge in the sense that all the vocabulary, all the grammar is what University of Cambridge says they should be doing. Okay? And it's all done through international teachers. Okay, can you do the next slide?
Yes.
Thanks. The program covers reading, writing, listening, speaking, but also grammar, vocabulary, and phonics. Phonics, this is very important because other schools will always focus on reading, writing, listening, speaking. In speaking, I'd say like this much, because it's usually the teacher speaking, not so much the child. But the phonics here is very important because you'll notice also the pronunciation of your child is very, very good. And the simple reason is because we teach them the phonics and because they're also mimicking the teacher.
Yes.
They're mimicking the teacher because they're hearing it the whole time and they have to produce it. Next slide, please. You won't be able to see that from there, but basically there's a thing called Complementarian Framework, okay? So basically what this is there's an international reference, let's say, of students' language acquisition. Students' language acquisition starts with the most basic level, which is A1, and it goes to A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. C1 and C2 are for English teachers, and I might tell you, most don't even have this.
It's very hard.
It's very hard, okay? Which is why it's really important. That's why our teachers, they're international teachers, but they're also certified by Cambridge. A1 would be, for example, levels of grades let's say grades 1 to 4. A2 would be grades 5 and 6. B1 typically is done in secondary, and B2 is typically done in high school. But most schools won't even do this. They have weird names here. These are the names that Cambridge gives for these exams. For example, there are exams that exist. If you want your child to take an exam in 3rd grade, there's an exam called Starters. There's an exam for 4th grade students called Movers. There's one for 5th grade students called Flyers. And then there's one in 6th grade called CAT, and the rest for PET and for certificate down the road when they're ready. Next slide, please. Okay, the program is designed so that our students are working with the certification level of Starters, okay, which is in year 1 and year 2. Year 3, they're already working with sort of 4th grade material, okay? And in 5th, 6th grade, the idea is in 6th grade they have the CAT level. So basically the bottom line is in 3rd grade of elementary, students will be taking a mock exam. It's a real Cambridge exam, but it's a practice exam. Why? If you want to take the real exam, you can, but they're very expensive.
And you don't pass if you don't do that.
They'll pass. Don't listen to her. But this is why, and that's a very good point. In the 28 years, I can tell you this happens all the time. The perception of the school, the perception of the parents. Never the same. Never. So, this is called transparency. Okay? Very simple. All students in 3rd grade take the mock exam. You will know for sure if they have the level or not, because the evidence will be there. When they're in 6th grade, they will take the official Cambridge exam. Okay? If you can't pay for the exam, then obviously they won't take it, because the exam is like more than 3,000 pesos. The exam. These exams are permanent. They don't expire for the rest of your life. Next slide, please. The curriculum is designed so that a student in 6th grade will receive an A2 level CAT exam, a CAT certification. But it's also designed that if in the future there is a secondary here, students will be then taking a B1 level, which is called a PET exam in 7th grade, so it'll be 1st of secondary. 3rd of secondary, they would then be able to take the first certificate. The first certificate is the same level as a TOEFL. It's the same level as when students need to graduate from university. Universities, Tec de Monterrey, Lua, all the universities, they will ask their students to have a certain level of English to graduate. Most of them will ask for a minimum 550 points on TOEFL, or they'll ask for the first certificate level. The project that we're doing here for the language program, it will get them to that level at 3rd grade of secondary. If there's a secondary here.
The future.
If not, if there isn't a secondary here, these students are going to be so ready to even go to that level, at least be able to do in 7th grade, and 1st and secondary, they will be able to take the B1 exam for sure. Okay, next slide. The reading writing component of the program, for those that are entering into elementary school or the ones that still cannot read and write, we're continuing with the phonics program that Anna Bay has started in kindergarten, and we're continuing with it. There's still another 5 more books, I believe, that the students
5 different sets of books.
5 different sets of books. So there's a reading book, let's say, and then there's a writing book. But this is only for the students that still are not at that reading level. Okay? Next slide. Oh, there we go. Okay. Also for reading, we have pleasure reading, just normal reading. There's nothing better than a student picking up a book and just reading. We promote that a lot in the school. It's very, very important. We just ordered 100 books that will arrive, actually I think this week, for all of elementary. These books are based on levels. What levels? Like I was mentioning, A1, A2, like that. So the students know what books to grab. Sometimes a student looks at a book and says, I like the pictures, I'm going to read that. No. They have to grab the book that's corresponding to their level, and that's the book that they have to read. We also have books related to science, geography, and history. Next. Writing, we use the Danielian. This is not an example of Danielian, but we do the Danielian writing system as well. And writing, we have structured writing. So in the lower, let's say first grade, and even in second grade, they're still working on their letters. Their structure of their letters, and they're also working on words, okay? And in fact, in elementary, we're even doing dictation, okay?
Next.
In upper primary, students are writing more free writing about the world itself, or just creative writing. They write stories and whatever. Next. The grammar. So, yes, students analyze grammar, but an example of Laurel Elementary, they do that in third grade. When they already have the language acquisition, and the maturity is ready for it. But when it comes to the grammar, it's for them to recognize the verb, adverb, preposition, and conjunctions.
Sorry.
They already know that in Spanish, so learning that in English is very, very simple for them. Okay? The program itself, if you can turn the next slide. The program itself, we have a list of all the vocabulary words that the students need to know per grade. What Cambridge says is what they need to know. But not just the vocabulary words, also the vocabulary words related to grammar. For example, in the third grade level, it'll say, okay, the students must know nouns, adverbs, adjectives, conjunctions, but it even tells you what the words are. So we have a list of exactly what words they need to know related to grammar. Not just only the words related to actual vocabulary like nouns. When it comes to vocabulary, Cambridge has a thematic vocabulary list. For example, students need to know at the second grade level parts of the body, school objects, parts of a house. And then we have the exact vocabulary that they need to know related to those topics. Okay? Next. How is this done?
The posters.
The posters.
The beautiful posters.
I'm going to pass these out. These are posters that we've designed. This is official Cambridge material. I can't sell this. But we can use this, okay? We can use this. This material is 100% Cambridge material. We could have just done this on paper and put plastic on it, and that's it. But we've decided to do something a little bit more dynamic. It's on magnetic paper. This magnetic paper, so in the classroom, we're going to put magnetic tape on the walls. The students will be able to stick this on the wall, and we'll be able to label the posters with the vocabulary words. Here's an example of some posters.
How many posters are there, Peter?
There are a total of like 20 posters. Different posters. I'm coming around it. Here you go.
Thank you.
I'm gonna hand some out in the back, okay?
Here we go. Here we go.
Can I hand these out too?
Absolutely.
Why am I not?
This is not Montessori in the sense that it's fantasy. It should be a real life type poster using realia. However, since we're using real Cambridge material, and this covers all the language acquisition skills they need to have, we're using this material. However, they're going to work with it in a very Montessori way. So it's not like the teacher is teaching. No. This is going to be like the students will need to ask another student. This can be done in pairs or in threes. And the student needs to ask another student, what do you see in the picture? Oh, because I see a doctor's office or I see people. No? And what is she doing? Oh, well, she's talking. And what do you think is going to happen next? Or what do you think happened yesterday? Or what is the doctor for? All this vocabulary they are producing. Next to the poster, they will have a sheet of paper, which is going to have the poster already labeled for them. The students then have to take magnetic letters, and the students have to label the poster with the magnetic letters spelling the correct word. So here they're working on spelling and vocabulary recognition at the same time. The great thing with this is, I'm not teaching, they're learning. Two different things, isn't it? Sounds strange. I'm not teaching, they're learning. How is that possible? Simple, because they're working. That's what makes Montessori so great. So the program, and it's very interesting. They're interested in doing it, exactly right. And there are different posters, so students are constantly working and learning at the same time. These posters, to give you an idea, each poster manages approximately 70 vocabulary words. Each poster. So no, it's not like pencil, pen, table. No. No. It's vocabulary, but they're also going to have to describe adjectives: happy, sad, angry. Verbs, walking, playing, singing. They're going to have to learn all of that in a very interactive way. Again, this can be done even individually, but ideally within pairs or in threes. This material is not, no one else does it this way. And I think it's a really ingenious way because they're learning through the Montessori way, using Cambridge International Standards with international Cambridge teachers. That combination makes this school 100% unique. No one has that. Okay, next.
And Peter, can I add a comment really quick? The importance of the Cambridge. I don't know if everyone knows about Cambridge, but it is known worldwide. As Peter said, that many universities, they ask for it. Once in Brazil, well, I was, as you guys know, I was born in Brazil, but English is pretty much like my first language because I learned it in international schools. And so back then, I didn't even have any certificates. So when I was already an adult and I tried to apply for a school, the first thing they said is, nope, you don't have a Cambridge certificate. Back then I didn't have one. You don't have a Cambridge certificate? Nope. And I would say, but I speak English. Nope, you need the certificate. So it's more and more, I think, universities and jobs are asking for it.
And even for teachers. No? Other schools, the English teacher. Does the English teacher even have a certificate? No. Then how do you know what level of English the teacher has? But speaks English really well. No?
Yeah. Yes.
If your child in the future needs to work in an international company, he must or she have the Cambridge
Yes.
certificate.
The great thing with this is they're going to get there faster and better than any traditional system. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Next. No, next. Next. This part, yes. Okay. Students will need to the point here is that students need to produce naturally. So for example, when it comes to presentations, which you parents will witness your children doing something naturally in English, we'll organize some sort of event where you can see them. Your children are going to produce something naturally where they're not going to have anything written down. There are always these common events like science fairs and world culture fairs, and you have the students with these really nice stands where the parents have created for them. No?
Yes.
And then of course the students are reading the script, right? And because they're reading in English, that means they're bilingual. Yeah, so here the idea is that the students are producing naturally and on their own. Okay? It is academically not at all, I would say, beneficial for students just to memorize. The point is that they have to produce. And more importantly, that gives them confidence as well. You'll notice your students are not afraid of English, huh?
Yeah.
They're not afraid of English. At all.
Yeah, parents tell me that when they travel, they're like, oh, my child was speaking English, asking for an ice cream or all in English. And I'm like, yeah, they speak.
Exactly. Obviously, the English teacher in the classroom, it's only English only. Students are also encouraged when they're in the English area to only speak in English to each other. They're used to it now. It's not even a problem. If a student doesn't understand me, another student, and this is the great thing with Montessori, another student say, what he means to say is this, okay. The other student can help another student.
Or we can mimic.
But there's no translation in the sense from us, no Spanish of course, and they get true language acquisition. Yes?
El ser co-teacher o el estar en la clase de inglés, ¿hay algún horario?
No.
¿Es todo el día?
It's all the day. That's the great thing. It's not like I have your child for English from 9 to 9:15. After 9:15, no more English. No. The students look for English all the time. So they can be working with me all day, every day. They can be working with geography, but in English. They can be working with history, but in English. Math in English.
Time. It's the whole day.
It's the whole day.
Like Jenny, for example, she has a time. A specific time.
Exactly. Jenny has a specific time.
Jenny has a specific
The English
time.
is all around the whole time.
It's around the whole time. I'm
Even
with
in
them
the
the whole
playground.
time.
Okay.
In the playground, in the circle time. Sometimes there are topics that we just do in English the whole time for 1 hour. They're used to it, 100% used to it. And that's why they learn it so well. The important thing that you parents need to understand is you can't eliminate Spanish. In the sense that Spanish is their native language. I love Spanish. Not in the classroom, but I love Spanish, right? So we can't ignore Spanish, but when it comes to English, of course, it's only English. Students, and when it's German, it's only German. Your students learn Spanish, they learn English, and they learn German. This is not a bilingual school. This is a trilingual school, but immersion. Immersion is very different than a traditional method where, like you're sitting in chairs and students are copying from the board.
Or have the exact hour just for...
Or having the exact hour. Or having a written exam or a quiz. No. It's day-to-day practice. They're practicing every single day, real-life situations. So, for example, on Mother's Day or Christmas, the students will have to produce in Spanish, but they have to produce in German, and they have to produce in English. But naturally, not with a written script. At their own level, at their own ability. Just like language, some students have better listening than speaking, some have better grammar than writing, some have better reading than speaking. It depends. But that's the way Montessori works the same way, doesn't it? Montessori, some are stronger in math, some are stronger in geography, some are stronger in science, some are stronger in history. They all get there. But how do they get there? Through maturity. It's the same with language, exactly the same.
Next.
Yep. Okay. Transparency, proof of English language acquisition. At the end of 3rd grade and at 6th grade, I'm going to make a correction there. At the end of 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, they will take a mock exam. And it's an official Cambridge exam. I'm a Cambridge certified oral examiner. I have my own staff outside that can come in and apply the exams, and I can tell you what level they're at. Okay? But at 6th grade, they have to take the official one from Cambridge. Okay? That's how you know if they're getting there or not. Is it optional? Only if you don't want to do it. Like if you're saying, I don't want to do it, I don't have the money or whatever, then it's optional. Ideally, no.
But it's something they're going to have for their whole life.
It's going to have something for their whole life, and it's something that a lot of schools say, oh yeah, we do Cambridge exams. Yeah, out of the 50 students, 5 of the best students do it. Right? Ideal here is not preferences. Everyone gets there. They can all do it. Okay? Presentations are done in English with no reading. festive videos and ceremonies for parents. If we do some sort of event for the school and you don't come in, we will record it for you and you will have evidence of it, okay? With the Cambridge exams, we get the results and we can give you the results of what Cambridge says the results are worldwide. Cambridge has a website and it says 80% of the population of X country or even X city in the world has a passing rate of this. You will know how the German International School ranks, not only locally, but internationally. Why do we want the students to take these exams more than anything at the end of the day, even though we could say it's not 100% traditional Montessori in that aspect? It's because students, believe it or not, they actually feel good about themselves. Oh wow, I did really well in the exam, I gave my best. Doing an exam of 2 hours, not easy. It's not easy. So it gives them a sense of accomplishment. It also ensures that the program is taking them to where they should be going. So it's not what we say or what we think, it's objectiveness. Okay? And for number 3 was, then you all know. Then you all know how your child is. Okay? For me, that's all. If you have questions, we can answer questions at the end. Right now, I'm going to present Jenny. Thank you so much.
Gracias, Peter.
And my mask again.
Good morning, everyone. I know, good morning. I know most of you, and I think most of you know me already. But as Peter already said, maybe you don't know a lot about my background, and so I will tell you a little bit about myself and then about how the kids are learning German here. So I studied translation back in Germany. I am from Germany. And then I made a master's in conference interpreting with English, German, and Spanish. I worked in that job for, I think 5, 6, 7 years. And during my studies, I was always teaching. I really, as the same as Peter, I like teaching. And I started teaching English, then I added Spanish, and finally I added German. German was the last because although it's my mother tongue, but it's the most difficult because I had no rules for teaching German. And then I made a course in Germany and it was really nice, it was very intensive. But in that course we learned all the rules, all the grammar rules for German and the method how to teach it. And we also learned how to teach without a book, making our own materials, using flashcards, and somehow it was Montessori, although I didn't know back then that it was Montessori. As all my life, I was always Montessori, but I had no name for it, and now everything makes more sense. And I really liked the method, and from there on I always used it with all my students, and it's fabulous. It works very well. Students love it. It's very active. They produce their own sentences, start with their own words. And then we came to Mexico because my husband is from Aguascalientes, and here I opened my language school. Because I was really motivated to try out this method here, and it also works very well and the students like it. That was 5 years ago. The first 2 years I worked with German kids in the Bosque school, and then this is my 3rd year here. And before I started, I thought also for my kids, if I can't find a good school for them, so I might be going back to Germany, but I found it and I'm very happy here. And my kids are also, so we are staying here. And now I even find German, so for me it's perfect, perfect. And so how do your kids learn German here? I'll start in kindergarten. With kindergarten, they learn by singing songs, playing games, and throughout our German festivities. The first half year we have a lot of German festivities. We started off with the German unification in October, so we talked a lot about Germany and a little bit about geography. In kindergarten, about the food in Germany, our traditions, special clothes we have, and they are very interested. So they always like to listen. I bring some pictures, photos, and they see everything that is typical for Germany, cars and what they know, even Formula One, some were very like, oh yeah, right, Germany. And this was in October. Then in November, we already started preparing for St. Martin and the story around St. Martin. So they will do their lanterns, and this is the way they learn and they connect with Germany, because it's a very typical German tradition. Every child in Germany knows St. Martin and the festivity around St. Martin. Then we have St. Nicolaus. They also love it because St. Nicolaus comes to our school, to kindergarten, and brings little presents and sweets, and it's, of course, they like it. And they like baking their own little cakes and sweets and cookies. And it's also something nice which you can connect to Germany. And for elementary, they have their Christmas festivity as well. The same, this year they will also participate in St. Martin and do the lanterns. And then the second half of the year is when we start a little bit more with our vocabulary. We have a program for German for kindergarten. And in this program, it is based on the European language level system as well. For kindergarten, it's for both. I mean, also in kindergarten, they start off with the same vocabularies. In that program, it's A1. Everything is based on A1, but it's more passive. I mean, I ask them, there are lots of games in there as well. We have a memory game, so they hear the word and they have to find it. And this is the way they learn. It's more passive and it becomes more active when they come to elementary then. The same vocabulary, the same topics as Peter already said, clothes, household, colors, numbers. And in elementary, they start also writing. Start off with the alphabet. That we have some different letters in German that you won't have in English, and also not in Spanish. And the pronunciation becomes important. And then, that's still the A1 level. And then for upper elementary, then it comes to A2. And then this is also when it starts off more with the grammar part, sentence analysis. And for me, it's easier because Peter and also our Spanish teacher, they have done the work already somehow. The kids know the concept. So they know already what is a noun, and I only have to introduce the same in German. So I'm not the one that is introducing a new concept. This is already done, and I can ask my colleagues, okay, they know it already, okay, then we can do the same in German. And it's nice because English and German, they are like brothers, so...
We're very close.
They're very close. They're closer than German and Spanish. So when they've heard it in English, so it's easier and it's perfect. And for example, my room is organized like this as well. I have shelves, and they start off with easy material, and it's getting more difficult. And the kids know, okay, right now I'm here. Every kid has their own folder. We have the topics inside already for A1, for example. And if your child is working on the body parts, then first it would be writing the words, listening to the words, and then we have 3 or 4 different materials they can experience for learning the vocabulary of the body parts. So they know, okay, I can go over to this shelf and this is the material I can use. I can play this game with body parts, where I can do this measure activity. We have the picture and the word, they have to match, and 2 or 3, I think we have like, yeah, at least 3 different activities for learning the vocabulary. So the children are learning by themselves, and when they're ready, they can tell me, Miss Jenny, I think I know all of the vocabulary now. Then I go and sit with them, and then I would ask, okay, tell me where this is. Tell me where this is. Show me the notes. Show me this. Show me this. And then when I think, okay, yeah, you did a good job, then you can go on. And they go on in their folder with the next topic and do the same again and practice with the material. So everybody knows what he or she has to do and where to find the material to accomplish the topic. And this is how we work. In upper elementary, we are going now more to, they have the same as well, the grammar parts. It's going more to grammar and to the sentence analysis with the same symbols that Montessori uses, so it's nothing new for them. And they go over to a little more presentation, investigations, experiments, and reading and writing is a bigger topic for upper elementary. And I think, yeah, also in German, they will reach, like in 6th grade, an A2 level, which is very good because now it's the first year that they started in kindergarten with me, so now I have the first year in elementary that I had already had a full year in kindergarten. So I think this group will be very easy for them, and it goes quicker and quicker and quicker. So then, yeah, if you have any questions or
Now we can open up the questions.
yeah, I think we can.
I would like to
Now your
say,
turn.
Open
I would
for
like to say
questions.
something.
Do you want to?
Well,
Sorry?
algo que me gustaría que tuviéramos muy claro es como ven, todo el programa va alrededor del interés del niño. Nosotros estamos aquí para la educación, más bien tenemos que tener como base el hecho de que no estamos educando para que se aprendan y estén llenos de conocimiento, sino que realmente tengan herramientas para la vida. Entonces todo el programa que estamos haciendo, tanto en los 3 idiomas como en sus aprendizajes, van encaminados a que tengan herramientas para la vida. Entonces, si escucharon, todo va alrededor de que ellos produzcan, de que ellos hagan, de que ellos tengan interés, que todo esté alrededor del niño y de cómo, de él en particular. Por eso al principio decía, ponemos el niño al centro y entonces lo observamos, vemos qué necesita y a partir de ahí vamos construyendo todo. No es para que todos hagan iguales, porque todos tienen diferentes habilidades, diferentes intereses, pero todos tienen que llegar a un objetivo. Ese es el punto de nuestro trabajo. Entonces, bueno, no sé si tengan preguntas para que podamos acompañarlos en esto.